Do you love eclairs? Do you love cream puffs? Well, that's what I'm making here. It's really unusual. It's a classic French technique. I'm starting here with 1 cup of boiling water, and I have 8 tablespoons of butter that need to melt in the water first. This is just a revelation when you learn how simple it is to make this. And one of my favorite things about this is the fact that it can be frozen raw, and then you pop it into the oven, and it is an incredibly impressive thing to pull out of the freezer and bake off at the last minute. So while this is just carefully melting away here, I'm going to get the flour ready. Just 1 cup of flour, not much flour. But I do want to take a second and level it. We want this to be really accurate. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm not putting this through a sifter, but I am going to take a whisk and just whisk it up to make sure that I have all the flour lumps gone before I start putting it into the water. It looks like it's perfect. All right. And I'm just going to dump this flour in now. And you just want to be stirring it around until you have kind of like a paste or a ball or something like that. I just think this lumpy mess, there's no way this is going to turn into a beautiful dough. And sure enough, it does. So you just got to put some muscle into it, stir it around. Really, don't be afraid to whip it against the side of the pot. And you know you're done when you get here, you have a little bit of a film on the bottom of the pan, and you have a nice sheen, and it looks totally smooth. All right, I've got 5 eggs already cracked. I'm going to put them in one after the other. You have to incorporate one before you move on. Not totally, but enough. And again, this is another position of the dough where you go, is this really going to work? But it works. That's what I'm here to show you. Another one. Actually, I'm just going to pull this over here so it's a little bit easier. All right, one more. It's a pretty classic ratio of eggs to flour to water. One last one, and then I'm going to really get my exercise for the day so I get this into the shape that we want it to be in. It's like a folding and a stirring action. All right. Now what we're looking for here is a sheen. All right, that is looking good. Now, if you had a pastry bag or something like that, because you're baking often, you could use a pastry bag. I actually am using a large resealable bag, and I'm putting it here in a container so that it can stand upright while I get the dough in there. And just pour it in. All right, great. A bag of beautiful dough. So just get it into your hand. And I have some scissors right here. I'll just snip the end off, not too much, because I want to have a little control. So about that much. And then you just do your best. Just do a little circle on top of each other. And it's easy. This is really fun to do. And it's a fun thing to teach, too. This is the thing that I think is amazing. This goes into the freezer, just like this. And then from the freezer, it goes into the oven, and it's magical. So I'm going to get this in the freezer and pull some out and show you how they bake. I think the freezer is the most underutilized appliance in our kitchen. So I am just plopping them right on here. They're going to bake and puff up like you cannot believe. When there is a dessert like this about to be made, believe me, anybody in the house is just waiting with bated breath. So I have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. It's going to go in for 10 minutes at 400. Then we kick it up to 425, and it needs 5 more minutes. How beautiful are these cream puffs? We made that really simple dough. We put it raw into the freezer, and then from the freezer, we baked them. They puffed up like this. They're beautiful. And I'm going to make profiteroles for dessert. Just put 2 on a plate. You could also hear, now this, just a reminder, this is the dough that if you piped it out in a different shape, you would have eclairs. Ice cream goes onto each cream puff. A nice scoop, just one. Then put the top on the cream puff. And then over here on the stove, I've just taken 4 ounces of chocolate and 4 ounces of cream, and I have mixed them together over boiling water. So simple. It's called a ganache. And I'm going to spoon as much chocolate sauce as I want over this, because again, it's just me here today. I don't often eat profiteroles with chocolate sauce on top, so I am going to go for it.